Welcome to Alchemical Science. I'm Jordan Collin, an independent researcher, an alchemist, and a student of the inventor and vortex fusion specialist Malcolm Bendall. Continuing on with the Alpha and Omega ladder series, exploring Malcolm Bendall's Thunderstorm generator and the stepwise atomic fusion process, or the transmutation of the elements. I'm not even sure what part we're up to in the series anymore. It's about part 19 or 20 or somewhere around there, but it doesn't really matter. Every video can be watched standalone, and they are going to keep coming every 3 days from now. So in this one, I interview the man who accidentally became probably the most famous annealer or heat treater in the world when Randall Carlson uttered his name in relation to the Thunderstorm generator on a few big name podcasts like the Sean Ryan podcast and the Danny Jones show last year. His name is George Lush, and he is the managing director of Lush Heat Treatment in the UK, who are an independent metal heat treating company established by George's father in 1952. They specialize in vacuum processing and brazing for clients across the aerospace, defense, space, power, and commercial sectors. To put it very simply, George is a career expert in metals and their properties and what time and temperature does to them. He usually works on parts for spacecraft and mega projects, and now he works on Thunderstorm generator Vajras. Not only that, but as you will see in the following interview, which I was lucky enough to film with George last weekend when he visited the workshops of Michael Akras and the local heat treating facilities in Melbourne, Australia, George is a seriously nice fellow, and he cuts right to the heart of what this project is about: saving the world in far more ways than one. This is the first of a number of new update videos coming. I have more pearls of wisdom from George Lush to share in a future video when we visited the local annealing facilities. Also, many big progress updates from Michael Akras and his team at Akras Industries, who are literally working day and night to make this happen in their alchemist workshop in Australia. And I've also got more Thunderstorm generator demos, independent replications, testimonies, university collaboration announcements, just more things happening. And then all of this could probably be considered like child's play compared to the global announcements coming from Malcolm Bendall and Strike Foundation very soon. I almost need to learn how to rap really fast to be able to present all the information coming fast enough. So be sure to subscribe to Alchemical Science and to also check out the links to resources and contact websites in the description if you're looking for those. And here is the interview with George Lush of Lush Heat Treatment in the UK. Enjoy. Well, today I am here with George Lush from Lush Heat Treatment in the UK. He's come over to Australia, so I've taken this opportunity to get an interview with him. We're going to talk about a range of things, about,
as well as a lot going on.
Indeed, yeah, the implications of the technology, your experience in the industry and what's coming next, and yeah, a lot of that. But first of all, can you tell me a little bit about your experience? Obviously, Lush Heat Treatment is an aerospace heat treatment and annealing.
We do a whole raft of different things for different people in the aircraft, space industries, and various other sectors. But purporting to this, the company actually split a couple of years ago into Lush Industries as well, which is focused on consulting, which couldn't have fallen at a better time, because with this and other projects just burgeoning as they are, more and more of my time is spent consulting on new projects. So we're I'm finding myself racking up the miles, but you've got to do it. And on something like this, why wouldn't you help? What can you do to help? What is arguably the biggest step forward industrially, scientifically, however you want to describe it, in many decades? What was the last thing that's going to have this much impact and change this much about where we are? I mean,
and to be clear here, for anyone who doesn't know, because we've kind of started this off the cuff, but we're talking about Malcolm Bendall's Thunderstorm generator, of course.
The Thunderstorm generator, the most implausible device which works. Again, this is the constellation. It's just simply far too good to be true, but it is true. So, we've seen it run, we've seen it tested, a dozen different instances in front of the great and good. There's still this current of naysaying. You know, get something with
Yeah.
50 PhDs crawling all over it, laboratories and institutes running every test imaginable, all turning up the same results of, yeah, we still don't understand how it's working, but we confirm, yes, it is working. And
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit
here
about
we
the
are.
tests and the demos that you've done or been about. But first of all, for anyone who doesn't know, and we have talked a little bit about annealing and the processes that the Thunderstorm generator goes through on the channel, but essentially what we're talking about here is heat treating the spheres
Yes.
of the Vajra, of the Thunderstorm generator. And do you
Um,
want to talk a little bit about what that does and what heat treating, well, in
yes,
general, is
the
about?
thing is, to blind everybody with science or to bore them witless. So it's trying to balance that. So apologies to all parties concerned. Yes, but when you work material, you stress it. When you weld it, that's essentially a casting. So you have the juxtaposition of wrought material, which has been worked,
Yeah.
welding, you get all the stresses of that. So you need to homogenize that with a heat treatment process, which anneals, softens the material, but also completely counterintuitive, the effect that argon has on the process and how the plasmoids, as Malcolm likes to describe it, what they like and how they run happily. Now, what we saw with the thermal camera on the released models that people have made in their own workshops, as Malcolm's here.
Yeah.
Make one yourself.
The independent replications.
Exactly. Make up your own.
Which a lot of them have been. Yeah.
Exactly. But then the one that got brought to the Cosmic Summit last year,
Yeah.
it was terrible, really reluctant to get started. But then running the thermal camera on it and seeing the difference between someone's home workshop unit being fabricated and then the full, you know, factory prototypes as we were demonstrating.
Yeah, that has been through that process.
How different the thermal behavior was, because of course there's no physics reference book for what plasmoids do or don't, you know, show. This is all new stuff. But then seeing the difference and the hot zone around the welds, so the plasmoids evidently butting up against it or flowing through it differently, or something is happening, that you get that pronounced temperature threshold in a very narrow area around the weld. So it's the industrialization considerations of that. And again, if it hadn't been done, we wouldn't have seen the difference.
So this is something that
quite
annealing can counteract, essentially.
Yes.
We can get rid
So
of
with the
welds being
with the annealing that we run, and the thermal, so again, it's shown in some of your earlier videos if people want to look it up.
Yeah, sure.
But the thermal,
link to
the
those.
thermal imaging on it, you see that the whole sphere is uniform in temperature behavior. There isn't that pronounced line on the weld. So another part here with Michael, and again, so nice with somebody who thinks a very similar way to I do, his where he's taken on the drawings that I did last year to picture painting 1,000 words of making modifications to the design. And this was some of the suggestions in India when I was there last year, and all these things coming to fruition, which will help making the device easier, smoother, better towards industrialization. And it's optimizing all these pieces and then having that all help make it run better.
Yeah, because I guess this is one of the interesting things about the technology is it doesn't take much to actually get it to work.
No.
You have a little bit of play. You don't necessarily need to get all the angles right, but if you're going to go put it on something huge, or if you're going to put it on something very demanding,
we'd rather much rather make it far too good, and have it run beautifully smoothly. But this is exactly your point of keeping in mind these are just hand welded, you know, by good welders, but there's imperfections and imprecisions in it, and it still works brilliantly. With all these, you know, imperfections in it. So just think how nicely it's going to run when it's a factory standardized product. And then also that there's no point in making something in a way that's more difficult. So at this stage, when with Michael's workshop downstairs, what a shop. Isn't it fantastic?
It's Wonderland. He's modified every machine down there by himself pretty much as well.
Come here and just geeking out in his workshop at all of the great stuff. And I see some fair fair stuff, but his workshop here he's doing some really great work.
It's small but there's so much going on within it.
A lot of the best work in the best places is not big shops. It's these independent thinkers
Special
who
customized.
don't have a board of directors to weed. It's like me. I'm the finance director. I'm the design director. I'm the engineering director. I decide what I'm going to do, and I do it. And Michael's got the same here.
And this is why, obviously, we see people like you and Michael have got involved in this project, because it hasn't had to go through a board that wants, you know, the physics written out in completion. You guys are like, no, I can see it working. I know how these materials work. I can do it.
It's that Matt Damon speech in the Ford versus Ferrari film about, if you just let me get on and not have 20 managers in the way. And that's why the independents, I think, are really beneficial to Malcolm and this whole project, because we're willing to just do stuff.
Yeah, and experiment and find out. It's your own money, it's your own decisions.
Exactly, and it's because it works, and we know it works. Well, that's why we're all willing to put in a huge amount of time and effort and money into this, because we know it works. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother. If this didn't work, I wouldn't have come all the way to Australia.
Well, and this is the fascinating thing. We've been talking about this, and I think it's something that's very hard to communicate on the channel, how much this works and how clear this is to us. Like, we are at this point where we're now like, it does work. Let's find out the process is how. And of course, Robert Harley says that as well.
I'm quite busy.
It works.
I don't have time to waste. If this didn't work, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't have been in the States last year. I wouldn't have been in India last year.
And back to some of your experience, like you work in aerospace with NASA, you know, NASA.
This is a misconception. No, we don't do anything for NASA. They're all US based. Ours is for other space agencies.
For other space agencies,
not NASA.
So I guess I just say NASA as an overall, but it's the UK and everywhere else has their own.
It's a synonym, but no, other space agencies is where our work ends up. But yes, it does leave the planet, and getting anything to orbit and beyond, it's quite important that it doesn't go pop.
Yeah. I mean, it's the end if it does, isn't it? And so something like this is actually a reasonably simple project.
So it's applying that benchmark of, no, perfect is just about good enough if you can't do any better. And applying that probably winds people up, because I'm such a dreadful fusspot about getting everything right. And as we're seeing that, again, with the imperfections of just handmade prototypes, it worked perfectly well. So it's helping to gauge that, doing whatever we can to assist in the process is getting it there. And so I'm having to sort of dial back my demands on everything, because they're quite unnecessary. But getting this all worked out, so what's the smoothest path to it becoming an industrialized product, and then seeing where they want to, because I'm so far behind on this, having been off the project for a while, because I've been busy with the day job. That I must stress, I don't speak with any authority on anything, because I could be miles behind and totally the wrong end of the stick.
Well, so and this is in terms of physics, in terms of your industry, you know what you're talking about. You look at the metals, you know what they're going to do, you know what they're not supposed to do.
That side of things, I'm absolutely conversant with. That's not a problem. But it's seeing where the project has got up to and what they're doing with it.
Well, there's so many specialized people in Hull now, Robert Harley, Bob Arrhenius, and all of these things.
Yeah, so Robert, what a mind. What an absolute treat spending time with him.
Incredible. And absolutely amazing. He's really an inspirational old scientist.
That old adage of, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, hasn't been my problem on this project. It really hasn't.
Well, it's
what did you do yesterday? So I spent some time with Robert Harley, and I'm still recovering. What a brain. What a lovely bloke. It's just fantastic. Taking that time on.
And for those next steps, because obviously, as we say, and a lot of people have asked, obviously you've got working Thunderstorm generators. Why are you just pumping them out there? And of course, people are going to be able to buy an experimenter's kit with no warranty or liability, that does work.
That's not the same thing. So again,
not the thing is going into
with the caveat that, as far as I understand it, they're undoubtedly working on their own facilities. I know India, they're doing that with the Rockpecker guys,
Yeah.
and they're going to develop something there.
I've been over there planning to put in a very
Yeah,
large scale operation there.
just their
Very large scale.
isn't their site something that shop in India, the workshop at the new site?
Yeah.
What a facility!
Yeah, like not my thing to announce, but they are planning something
No,
absolutely
just the
huge to go.
machine
Yeah. Oh, what they've already
Yeah,
done is insane. Yeah.
is a fabulous facility.
It's the most advanced automated facility, at least in northern India, as far as I'm aware, in terms of welding and
But what
the
they were talking about on that other video that I saw recently that you put out, and I thought, yes, well, knowing the guys at Rockpecker and how smart an outfit they are,
Yeah.
that's the right crew to run this. They'll, and again, their way of just working around problems as they come up. Nothing is insurmountable with them. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful outfit.
And another privately owned business. This is a father and son outfit.
Exactly.
You know, it's they're both engineers or have training in physics and other things. So they're just
Raj
yeah.
and Kartik, what great first-rate people.
absolutely
And
fantastic.
it's wonderful how this project seems to attract all these independent-minded people
Yeah.
who are, again, investing huge amounts of time and effort and money in it.
Mhm.
But for my part, where I hopefully help out, is steering the procurement of things and anything that we can do to help the process and manufacturing made easier.
Yeah.
And then taking a holistic view on it, because so often we find projects come up and they run into trouble because they make things in a difficult way, which are then more difficult to heat treat. So it's helping people build a process that will then make this as easy as possible to manufacture,
Yeah.
as reliable as possible to manufacture, drives up the quality of it and the deliverable thing. And then again, if it's where it goes, but as I see it, it's a no-brainer to be integrating this into automotive at design level. So, imagining it forward, and how long does it take for manufacturers to design this adaptation into their under bonnet, under hood designs? A couple of 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So within that time, this supply chain will be more than ready to roll out at very large volumes. So petrol's a clean fuel, diesel's a clean fuel. It's all just clean stuff. All the pollution in cities is over.
Yeah.
Finished, gone. What's your next problem? And then on the industrial side of things, which again, caveat, I'm miles behind on, seeing what they want to do and then seeing how we can help with that so that they industrialize up in the optimal way.
Yeah.
So that it can be heat treated smoothly and easily, so that it all works as an integrated process.
Yeah.
And has the least difficulties and problems in developing it, because bigger things are harder to make than smaller things.
Yeah.
Amazing revelation.
Well, and this is another great thing about having many, medium to large, but still small in the worldwide scheme of things, businesses involved, is that because you don't all necessarily have the capability to do everything, like for example, they can do an earring in India.
Right. With various things, and then
Well, that's it, it becomes a worldwide shared project where everyone is having their roles and their own businesses are involved in actually doing those things. But as you say, it becomes a consulting thing where now these annealing plants will need to be installed all
as well. It's that principle of, what's your problem with, this kind of welding or getting a flange to sit nicely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know a guy who does that, and then we can cross-pollinate all these things with the right partners, and then as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which it is snowballing all the time. And from what I've heard in the background, very large interests are coming on board with
huge.
it.
And I can directly affirm that. Like obviously a lot is coming in to Michael, to Rockpecker, to Strike Foundation, but even me, just as an independent, student of Malcolm covering this, I probably get one commercial email a day of really big outfits. A guy emailed me this morning, just I've got 100 people doing R&D on this kind of tech. Do you want to talk?
Can I just take a moment to take Randall Carlson to task, dropping me in it as George Lush, the great mastermind, the great materials technology and scientist? No, No,
He's a humble guy, you know.
I'm just a heat treater. I'm quite good at the heat treatment, but I'm just a heat treater.
How long has your heat treatment agency been running? And how long have you been working there, George?
Many decades, but just Randall. But this is the absurdity to me, who's just a private nobody person, walking into meetings with quite high end people. Oh, it's you. What do you mean it's me? It's you from the internet. What do you mean?
It's amazing, right?
The surreality of it, that you've got Randall Carlson, who is Randall Carlson, discussing with somebody in an interview that I did off the cuff, which I thought was just their sort of in-house video.
The audio is so bloody bad.
Yeah,
it wasn't me who filmed that, guys.
Just an in-house video blog at the generator site when I've been there for an hour, just come in from very loud outside and just being interviewed on it. And
this was after the Tesla Tech demonstration, right?
that was it was my first experience of seeing it running, because we'd done the work on the big industrial unit for the London landscape generator.
Yeah.
And I'd gone down to see it because I'm nosy. I want to see this thing actually constructed and you stand there and you
so you already had the private demo before you
got it now, understand it now, fine. And then they were running a little test demonstrator generator, which they'd hooked up with a feed of landfill methane, tip gas. And they get this thing running, and I said, can I do anything to help? And gave me a thermal camera and showed me how to work it. And then it's just the results of that. And it was just so preposterous at the time, because I was so new to it. It's like I've walked away from a car crash and I'm in shock or something. It's completely implausible. This can't happen, but I've seen it happening. So
and this is talking about, of course, the exhaust emissions,
exactly,
the heat anomalies,
accepting the realities, because I've just seen them, and it's just completely random thoughts. As you know, I have many random thoughts, and I swerve off on a tangent terribly, and you have Randall discussing that, not an interview, just a little chat on channels
just
and programs.
Millions of people. George Lush.
Millions of people have seen Randall Carlson talking about a chat that I had. This can't be real.
I see. This is kind of the phenomena that's happened with this, is because
really peculiar.
So few people have that, I guess, I don't know, simple enough mind to be able to see something and go, well, it does work.
My mind's very simple.
And so is mine, right? I'm not overthinking it. I saw the Thunderstorm generator working and I thought, well, it works, doesn't it? But there wasn't many people willing to get behind it who had industry experience at that time. So you can see that even the little videos of George Lush in the office, just saying a few things were important, actually.
It's just that, I said at the time, I'm not a believing person. Evidence, hard evidence, calibrated equipment. That's the only. That's it. Fact. Does it work? Does it not? It's the Feynman thing.
Yeah.
If your theory disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And this theory agrees exactly with experiment. And every time it's been run, it's not a fluke result.
No. It's been replicated.
It ran at the first Tesla Tech, then that Swiss
conference, India conference, Helsinki summit. I've met like 10 guys who've independently replicated and got it running themselves, which turned up with a gas analyzer at work.
And again, this is just hand fabricating in somebody's workshop, hasn't been heat treated, and it still works.
Yeah.
The alignments aren't perfect, the welds aren't, and nothing about it is perfect. It work. But it works.
So we're at that point of the production now, and that's what, of course, Michael's working on, you're working on, is working out all of these fine details. Let's get laminar flow within the system. Let's get the vortex dynamics exactly right.
Well, that was
transitions.
That was one of the principles, and I had a great assistance from a young work experience lad who was great at CAD. Wonderful. Shout out to Toby, who's now working for a very prestigious aerospace company. Very proud of him. Nice. But he did the CADing because I can't do it myself. I'm terrible. But I describe it, and I do a sort of 6-year-old crayon drawing, and then a competent grown-up helps me with it. And he got it perfectly and did a sort of color-coded exploded diagram of it, and suggesting if we move the weld from here to here, if we make this transition, but you need somebody who can neck material in the right way. And of course, here we are. Michael Acros, just the man for the job. And he then modified the drawings and updated them to his system. So getting that all in. And again, it's that generations of prototyping and modifying the design so that it's easier to manufacture, so that the precision, again, as you say, is better.
Yeah.
And it's whatever little steps we can help to usher that along. That's my job.
Yeah.
And take away problems with the things that I know that other people don't necessarily know. If we all contribute our bit of it, then it'll just take flight.
Yeah, and of course you were one of, probably the first person aside from Malcolm himself to note the heat anomalies on machines.
Just completely implausible.
Yeah.
So
those are the type of things you can come in with no knowledge and just go, well, from my knowledge of metals and thermodynamics, it shouldn't do that.
It's the facts.
Yeah.
Again, it's the facts and evidence. And again, I thought, no, it's probably me being ham-fisted and pointing this camera that I don't know how to work it. So I got my own for later iterations. But we went down to one of the London sites. I took one of my team with me, and we ran a temperature uniformity survey. You have to survey furnaces all the time to keep them in NADCAP duty.
Yeah.
So you have to know that everything is how it should be. So we have all the equipment. I took it down and we dressed a generator in thermocouples at all the different points.
I'll cut in some photos of that. Yeah.
And ran the generator for a test cycle, and Malcolm adjusting it to get it just how he wanted it. And then, because we're now recording, not just going around with a camera and seeing what something is at a particular moment, but it's
you're tracking it all at
all the time. So you see the behavior, you see the trends, and then getting the flow just right to the sweet spot. And again, it's not the perfect valve for the job, but it's a prototype, so you live with what you've got. And he's just finessing it, and you see the kicks in temperatures at various points in conjunction with the gas monitoring, which is, again, calibrated Kane unit, just come back from Kane's themselves. So we know that's absolutely the truth of what's going on. And seeing how it's behaving and driving it up and down, getting that set sweet spot to go, and seeing the trends. What I've really have liked is if it was possible to have an output for the gas analysis and put that on a chart recorder as well. As this gets down the way in the process, that will of course happen.
We've set that up now for all future tests.
And so that you're getting calibrated stuff with an output channel. But what we found is that when we ran the thermocouples, which we thought were being very clever, and Jubilee clamped them onto all the units, on the actual generator on the spheres, it ate they were just completely turned to mush, and you couldn't undo them afterwards. You had to cut them off.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, you could screw them up, and you couldn't unscrew them afterwards.
What were they made of?
Stainless.
And so exactly the same material as the Vajra.
Exactly. Had no idea. Never crossed my mind that this, don't use the stainless ones. So, because we've got a lot to do today, so we know have to get through bags.
Wow.
So that was another one. But what was interesting was it was a generator that I'd seen run before, and it was delivering about sort of 19–20% oxygen. And when we were running it covered in thermocouples, it didn't. And the only change is the thermocouples. And then, of course, stupid, we're earthing away a load of field with the thermocouples. So, the Heisenberg principle of that which you study, you also change.
It makes it very hard
changing
because of that.
And of course, the next time when it was all stripped down and had no thermocouples on it, when it ran, back up to the 19.5% odd.
Yeah, so you had a big drop in the exhaust emissions.
It was definitely us that skewed the results, because it worked before, then it worked best while we tested it, took it all off, then it worked better again. So we were getting the truth on the temperature. It was still, I think it was about 15% oxygen. So
yeah, not like a full drop, but clearly grounding out some of
pronounced effect where we were drawing some of it. So again, who knew that before? I certainly didn't. So it's, again, adding these layers of information to it. So we tested 3 different evolutionary designs, different lengths of tube, and got that all done in the day. So it was that data that I presented at Tesla Tech and tried to explain it. But it's very difficult to explain it to people who don't have the context of experience with the Thunderstorm generators and seeing what they do, seeing the gas flow behaviors and what the Kane analyzer shows once it's warmed up and running.
So yeah, with that, let's try and break that down a little bit, because you are the first person who recognized and kind of spoke about this phenomena to the public. To put it very, very simply, this is breaking the so-called laws of thermodynamics, right? Like, the metal is not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be very hot in one part, very cool in another part.
Well, this is again going back to that very first test at London where they gave me their camera. Very similar temperatures in the northern sphere, where it's just coming out of the exhaust port and the inlet from the exhaust gases. The temperature there dropping down massively at the 0 point in the middle, and then increasing again at the bottom. Well, how can the temperature be hot, get colder, then get hot again? Further away from the end,
from the exhaust. That is impossible.
Again, no, I'm getting the little crosshair and thing. I must get this dead on the center, and did it again, again. No, it's really hot there. It's much colder there. Then it's hotter again at the bottom. This makes no sense. I mean, forget all the rest of it. Just the thermal behavior. All the rest of it's beyond me. But I mean,
this is your particular.
I can read a number that's in 3 digits. I'm smart enough to do that.
I trust Kane and the mass spectrometry people that they're not worse, and he's calibrated in certain.
It's the exact same result with my own thermal camera that I got afterwards at later tests.
We've done it ourselves as well.
Hotter there, it's colder there. And it was that. What was that young lad? Brad, I think his name was.
Yeah, Bradford.
He was a nice lad, wasn't he? But he had
he came along
was his gun. And help all again. You get this thing, and all these willing-minded people come and help out. They just volunteer. How can I help? Craig, lovely guy as well. He couldn't have been more helpful. What a lovely fella. He's got no grist in this. He's got nothing to gain.
No,
I said, I've come here from however far, a good distance.
None of us
because I wanted to see this thing run, and how can I help? Again, people with that mindset, whereas people with the, I didn't invent this. I'm very annoyed that such a thing exists, and I'm going to do all I can to disparage it. Despite the evidence of my own eyes, seeing it run here and there and there and there, again and again and again, and still finding some necessity within themselves to pour scorn on it and disparage it.
It's literally the opposite of science, right? Because we cop a bit of criticism over this, you're not doing proper science because you haven't got enough peer-reviewed papers yet, or you haven't got whatever. But this is so frustrating, because that is it.
Please bring your own equipment of whatever you like.
We can arrange that if you have the experience and the equipment.
Please, we'd love to understand more about it, and even if it steers in a different direction, please disprove that this doesn't work, because we're all about scientific understanding.
And we're finally at this point where those 10 units that I've showed on the channel before, they're going to be going out to universities. We're entering into talks with Australian universities, Indian universities that I visited. And so that is going to happen, but it's been frustrating for this period that it just began with a lot of naysaying, which did not match the observations, and obviously a scientist should be curious. They should want to know why something is doing something, and either prove it or disprove it, not say, why aren't you doing this? Or why, I'm just a guy who thought this was a great technology and wanted to advocate for it, wanted to make sure that this didn't just disappear.
Then again,
why don't you do it?
Find me a scientific advancement that happened right first time. Somebody had a thought, made a thing, fired it up, and it worked. I bet Malcolm had to do dozens of things to improve it and improve it and work all these things out.
Wow.
It didn't,
Interestingly, and I know you've got some context on this as well, but it was a little bit of both, right? Where he did do these years of experimentation, but as far as I'm aware, he did kind of do it the Tesla way of, he came up with a design, he worked out how the dynamics were going to work, because
it worked.
Well, his whole process was observing nature. And so he was observing what vortexes were doing in nature. And he thought, well, if I can apply that to the combustion engine, if I can, put this particular machine together. And then when he built it, it did pretty much work first time, as far as I'm aware from the story. And then as they got into it, it was actually about him dumbing down the unit because it could disintegrate itself or fly through the roof. What we've got now is not the original Thunderstorm winner.
Yes, some of the pieces, though, I don't know if you ever saw it, but he sent me a piece of pipe that it imploded.
Oh, yeah,
sheer. Have you seen that one?
I have, yeah.
That was
I'll publish that on the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project channel, so people can go and check that out.
Something to see, and just, you know, stainless pipe to overwhelm the strength of that and just rip it apart like it's an old drinks can,
Yeah,
but not rip it apart outwards, to tear it inwards.
yeah.
We,
This is an incredibly powerful force.
you think about how much, and it was that 2 mil thick stainless, I think. I can't remember.
I think it was thicker than that because it was on the larger unit, so it would be minimum 3 mil, I would say. Yeah,
Big pipe.
I could be wrong.
You think about the strength in that material, and to just tear through it like paper.
Yeah.
How much energy? This is why, you know, forget all your physics now. Just forget it. This is out off the edge of the map.
Well, I've got a question for you, and you may not be able to answer it, but it's worth putting out there because when we ran David Evans' independent retrofit the other week, which had the plasmoid power kit set spheres on it, we found after, because we did the overcharge experiment where we had plasmoids lit out of a thing all over the shop, and I posted that footage, but afterwards we noticed, because that was quite thin steel, they're made out of like 1.5 mil thick, which is not very thick, and we noticed all these pock marks, like little kind of, I guess, yeah, just little pock marks from where the plasmoids have been coming out of the machine. What's really interesting, and we can go have a look at the unit down here now, they're not there anymore.
Really?
They're not there anymore. They've gone. And what I was thinking is, you know, like the direct matter to energy drive and Ken Shoulder's work, where he was launching the plasmoids into the copper disc, and then he was able to find gold and all sorts of elements within that disc. I'm wondering if that's what's happening here, is that these indents are literally being refilled.
I'll just put my hands up to it now. I have absolutely no useful guess, hypothesis, nothing.
Nothing about it.
I got.
You haven't seen this in anything?
Sorry, wider world internet, but I have absolutely no clue. Randall, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know anything. Heat treatment, you know, but beyond that, nothing. Nothing at all.
Okay, so let's turn that question around. In your experience of dealing with so many different metals and everything else, have you ever seen pock marks that fill themselves back in again?
Fill themselves in? No, no such thing.
Yeah.
It's just,
so there's another one for
you need a great long list of the impossible things. Yeah. It's been a slow Tuesday. It's only done 8 impossible things today. Oh, no, not a clue. Never seen or heard of anything like that. But just, you know, everything else that this thing does, just, I've given up. You know, I'm only surprised when I get told it's done something else, that I'm surprised that I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I took it over.
I should be beyond this now, where it's, you know, oh, it's done another impossible thing. Yes, of course it has, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't really adhere to any rules, this thing.
No, not the rules that scientists have mapped.
No.
Maybe the natural rules that we are still, you know, working out.
The problem is still this negativity, which again, come and see it with your own eyes, come and test it with all your own equipment, bring anyone you like.
Yeah.
And please disprove something, because we'd love to know if there's a flaw in this, because then we can all get round working on fixing that flaw or you know, all opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. Because if a flaw is found at this stage, it's reasonably minor. Like, this has been tested in so many different ways, not all of it publicly released.
But it's just even at little design stages and you know, just moving welds on the necking, and if it's possible to, you know, move a transition and form a transition in a hemisphere in one piece. And again, that's a tooling issue. That's a press work issue.
Yeah.
It's not insurmountable. It needs designing in. But if other people's, you know, findings or criticisms or observations spot a weakness in what we've thought, fresh eyes, always welcome. And I always say with stuff, there's no substitute for making something, putting it on a test rig, and then just abusing it horribly. Smash it up. What's it supposed to do? Oh, 20 bar. Well, you know, run it up to 60 bar and see what it does. When does this thing let go? If something's got a duty of 20 bar for whatever it is, and it doesn't let go until 3-4 times that, that's flight safe. That's good. That one will stand duty. And again, because the physics of what's going on in this is so far beyond what anybody knows anything about, um, the more people doing all these tests and working things out, the better. Because everyone's best interests are served everywhere in the world by this being on every device that runs combustion. It's in everyone's interests.
Yeah.
You think dirty, polluted cities, clean cities, filth coming out of ships' chimneys, nothing but fresh air. Same off of trains, same off of anything that moves goods. The world runs on materials being moved from A to B.
Yeah.
And it's mostly a pretty dirty, nasty process. Well, now we've got the cure for that. Make it all go away.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be selfless about it, think about your great-grandchildren's inheritance of the world. Clean or dirty? Are you on board with a clean one? Or do you not care and you're more obsessed with your own ego and putting something down?
Yeah.
Or would you like to get behind it, help make it better, help roll it out to the wider world? Because everyone, everywhere, without exception, will benefit from this.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is very much a humanitarian thing.
I was saying before that, I work on aircraft and spacecraft stuff all the time, have done for decades. Somebody comes out with a new jet engine, a new rocket motor, and it's 5%, 10% better than the old one. And that is a brilliant, brilliant feat of engineering.
Yeah, 5-10% is really good.
Huge.
Right? Yeah.
We made something that's 2% better. Well done, lads.
Yeah.
You are absolute genii. Well done. But this,
Malcolm must be pretty clever with a Thunderstorm generator that decreases fuel consumption by 64%. 64%.
I know, just
Please try it, guys.
6.4%. No,
64. Is it worth testing? If you're going for like 2%, 5%, and you can see that is why it is, because it's unbelievable. We're coming out with a claim.
it was
It's too much for people.
if it was the other way. So, well, good news is we've got this thing and it turns exhaust gas into 20% oxygen. It's basically clean air, but it does use a bit more fuel to do it. It would still be
good. Yeah,
it would still be, it uses 20% more fuel that's got no emissions. Yeah, still worth it. No, this goes the other way. This gouges every last kilowatt of energy out of every bit of fuel that it can, and it's clean.
And it's clean.
It's a thing with no downside. I mean, you're actually going to need to start burning some CO2 producing stuff just to release CO2 into the atmosphere to get plants.
We all know we don't want it to drop too much.
To give plants and stuff CO2 to munch on and do photosynthesis with it. Being facetious, but
well, a few people have brought this up as a genuine issue, and for me, and obviously for Randall Carlson, who's done a lot of research, into that era of time, where we did get to very low CO2 levels.
That will wipe everything.
But once again, for people who are concerned about that, this is a dialable technology. We can produce carbon if we want to. We don't have to if we don't want to. When people are getting poisoned by carbon monoxide
But this is it. It's the carbon dioxide is really just a measure that people can understand, which is, I think, why global authorities use it.
Yes.
The problem is monoxides, particulates, and all the other nasties.
The real dangerous.
These are terrible. Lodges in your brain, lodges in your lung tissue. It's awful stuff.
Yeah.
If we can clean that out of emissions, which this does, it's proven, so that's that done. You can, like you say, you can dial the carbon dioxide, or we can release it by other methods. But we're talking about a sort of global inheritance for our great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's why, to me, this is more...
It's a legacy project.
More interesting, more stimulating, and a more valuable use of my time than just heat treating something, and more exciting to me than, here's a new jet engine.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece. It's 2%, 5%, whatever, better duty and performance than the previous evolution.
Yeah.
But this will make so much more difference to everyone, everywhere. You think about the places that, the less developed places in the world, what we can do for them with this.
Yeah.
You think about every school everywhere in remote places. Give them power, give them clean power and energy at again, 60% less fuel consumption.
Yeah.
Getting fuel to these places by itself is a trial. You've got all this energy being produced at far lower costs. Schools, lighting, medicines being kept cold in a health centre.
Yeah.
That these places don't have. The reach that this
Being able to produce oxygen for medical uses
exactly
with a fucking generator, excuse my language. You know, like it's like just
that
the
can't
people this
possibly
country
happen.
saving right now.
Oh, yes, it
Someone's
does.
probably dropped dead.
Yeah.
Or probably 100 people have dropped dead
Lives
from not having air. You know, during this interview. You know, and we could solve that with an engine that they've got there in their car.
power is a necessity for everything.
Hmm.
People dying of dirty water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just offensive.
Yeah.
If you have this power to hand in all these places,
Hmm.
you can drive pumping stations, filtration, purifying, getting people clean water. I mean, here we are. Look, I'm thirsty. I got a drink anytime I want. Millions of people don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we can reach out into that
And look,
and other things, why wouldn't you? Why would you not embrace helping a process like that?
well, and this is what we've got to ask ourselves. And, you know, we have both experienced, and I don't usually talk about it too much, but it is worth noting that there has certainly been an agenda from one of the particular gangs. I won't name any names, but I've met a couple of them, and they're not very nice people
No.
that do not want this technology out there for their own reasons, you know,
Yes.
for their own gains. And it gets to a point where it's actually very upsetting. And I've seen Malcolm very upset about this as well, because we are talking about essentially damning the world. You know, like if we keep going the way we are going, we are going to damn the world.
Stuff the entire world. I
need a fuck.
more. I've got
Yeah.
huge amounts already, but I just want more.
And it can be quite
How,
subtle
how much
in a
can
way.
anybody possibly want or need?
Yeah.
You know, it just how much richer.
Well, it becomes a
it's just-
control mechanism, right?
But it's
Because if you've got the abundance and you don't want everyone to have the abundance, what's your reasoning, right? It's no longer about greed,
But
because if
beyond-
everyone has it, that's fine. It's
beyond-
about control.
But beyond this is what makes no sense to me. Beyond abundance, superabundance, hyperabundance, what are you going to do with it? What benefit is, oh, but I need it for my future generations. I need hundreds of billions for myself.
Yeah.
How many children are you preparing to have and pass wealth on to? Yeah, of course, we all have that instinct. Provide for our children, give them a good start in life.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you've got a
If we
few,
can do that for all children.
it's, you know, if you've got a few million, you're set. If you've got tens of millions, you're golden. If you've got hundreds of millions, billions, whatever,
Yeah.
you couldn't spend that. You could have, you know, dozens of children and thousands of grandchildren, whatever. They could never get through that money in their lifetimes, and they'd never lift a finger. I mean, what an awful life to damn children to.
Yeah, yeah.
To have
On the other side.
no purpose. What possible use for wealth could you have that you would need yet more than you already have? And at a sort of counterpoint to the cost to that, yes, you having more wealth and all this, if the cost of it is ruining the world. So if you go forward 50 years, 100 years, whatever it is, that you're saving this great wealth pool for your own bloodline.
Yeah.
What use is $1 billion or $10 billion in 200 years from now, when the world's a filthy place full of muck, terrible pollution? It doesn't matter how much money your great-grandchildren have by then, if they're living in the same filthy air and the same filthy water as everybody else is.
Yeah.
Why not help out with this? But again, it's the lack of imagination that really bothers me as well. It's just, why can't you see all of this as a holistic, you know, situation?
Yeah.
What
Why do you want to hinder it?
what
Why don't you?
possible value could you put against more wealth for yourself over this as the other half of that equation?
Yeah.
You get richer, but you extend harm to the entire planet, or you're probably doing all right. You're not going to get massively poor suddenly, but you had a hand in rolling this out that makes everyone's life everywhere better. The entire planet.
Yeah.
Not a patch, a country, a territory. No, everyone, everywhere.
An opportunity like this rarely comes up.
No,
And
well,
I really hope that people will continue to.
I would never have imagined in my lifetime that I would somehow just pure dumb luck into a situation like this
Hmm.
and be able to help it.
Yeah.
You know, just to witness something like this, crikey, isn't that clever?
You
But
do
I
have to
can't-
check yourself, just
Yeah.
like, is this real simply because how am I involved in this? Because
Well,
it is too damn.
Exactly. I mean, to me, it's when I see something computer-based and people are writing code and God, you're smart. I think I've done well if I turn a light switch on. You know, people are writing code. I have nothing useful to offer there.
Yeah.
But how lucky am I that I've seen this technology happen, that it's come to me.
Yeah, and you've had a chance to advocate for it.
Cosmic destiny or whatever notwithstanding, great. But I can do something to help this. How incredibly fortunate that makes me feel that I've got something useful to offer in this and I can help them. And maybe I can introduce other people in it, in the supply chains that can also help this.
Yeah.
It's better for everyone, everywhere. Why wouldn't you help out?
Why wouldn't you help out? You can now, there are a number of commercial entities involved that have gone public. Georgia's involved, Lush Heat Treatment in the UK, Acris Industries here, Rockpecker in Australia, Landlogical in the UK, Alpha Prospects in the UK and Thailand. These are just naming a few. There are many more involved, but these are the ones that have gone public. You can reach out to these entities if you're in the business and you can aid this project in some way, or you want to be part of that chain, reach out.
This is it. I mean, we're a small company. This is costing me a fortune, but it's worth doing.
Yeah,
It's worth
if this is the only thing you've done in your life,
I'm not going to help Malcolm in this. I'm going to keep it all to myself. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Why?
Why isn't Malcolm doing this? Why aren't you doing that? This is what I get, you know. We just want to help. Yeah.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I've got to spend a ton of money on this and burn a lot of time. But what better use of my time could there be?
Yeah, if you're, you know, in any way you want to leave the world better than you found it, this is.
Oh no, you know, forget this. I'm going to do this. It's purely commercial. I'm going to make more money, get more. No, why?
And to be quite honest, even if you are like that, fine. You know, jump on board, make your money.
Make money doing this.
Just do it right. Help us. Let's actually do it in abundance and, you know, make something that's not about money. But yeah, if you're an oil company or you're a big manufacturer, fine, make your money. You know,
all these companies,
it'll help
without maybe realizing it, have a vested interest in seeing this absolutely roll out and soar on this, because it's going to keep the entire petrochemical industry alive and in the game as a clean fuel, which it now is with this device, for the next 100 years, 200 years, however long it takes until a newer, better technology comes along.
Yeah.
This is it.
And realistically, they do not have that time unless they take up this technology.
It's just the whole, we stay with, you know, petrochemical pollution and all the rest of it, you know, messing things up as it does, and plastics. There's so many solutions that need to get applied to problems that we're getting, ocean plastics and so on.
Yes.
We need to get people on all these tasks who have a useful solution, microplastics, all these things. And people need to change their attitude about stuff, of see the problems, work something out about how to fix them. And this is our part of it. And I can't do anything useful about ocean plastics. Haven't a clue. But I know other people can. They should be doing that. But this we can help with.
Yeah.
And if we take away this problem, this is one of the biggest, this will then provide that transition, keeping, and the world does run on petrol and diesel and gas. And that's not going to go away, because the logistics are just insurmountable in the time scale that we've got to magically transition away from oil to another energy source. The world has evolved over the last.
You're not going to get Australia's trucking industry electric in the next few years, as we were saying earlier.
Melbourne Trucking Company running road trains across Australia on electricity.
The Nullarbor on an electric. I know that they're saying, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, sure, if you get diesel generators to charge the things up.
Have you seen those? I mean, all joking aside, but there's vans go around with diesel generators in them to provide charging for electric vehicles that are stranded because they've run out of power. and you're making inefficient electricity from a diesel generator to charge up an electric car. It makes no sense. I mean, there is a place for electric vehicles. There is.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
there are applications that it suits brilliantly.
Yeah.
And they're great, but they're not the universal panacea to all of everything everywhere.
Yeah.
And because the entire world is set up with an oil-based infrastructure everywhere we are, you know,
Why not use it? Yeah, yeah,
use it.
yeah.
And now petrochemicals are clean. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody else, Billy Bob Thornton in that film program Landman. Sorry, there are other channels available, but well, he's Billy Bob Thornton, so he's very good. But he's making a little speech about wind turbines and how, you know, they're all dependent on petrochemical products,
I know.
which they are. And then when they go in the landfill at the end of life in 20 years, is never going to break down.
Yeah.
So all these things that are trying to be a solution, and it's laudable, but if the solution is
Debatably.
yeah, well,
Because I do know, I am aware of some of the people who are lining,
yes,
like, I mean, with one person, one degree of, you know, separation from us, that are lining their pockets off technologies that they do not understand at all, and are generating huge losses in energy from going to petrol to electricity, or petrol to,
yes.
to hydrogen.
But this is the thing.
This comes off as a scam. To me, is what I'm saying.
Whatever the pollution problems in the world is and are, I don't see how the solution can be us driving electric cars and having solar panels and wind turbines, which are all made in factories
Yeah.
run by coal-fired power stations, which are doing it.
That's why I say it smells a little bit like a
Yes,
scam.
yes. Somebody's doing very well. We're back to more.
Yeah.
More.
Someone is.
It doesn't matter how much of the world I'm ruining, I'm getting
Because it
more.
just does not make sense.
No.
Otherwise, if you know anything
No,
about that
just-
process and losses in
but
power,
just
it
the-
doesn't make any sense.
Just the foundations. I mean, concrete's a very, you know, carbon-hungry
Yep.
material to produce, and then, you know,
We went and investigated a concrete plant in Dubai about setting them up.
you think you're sticking a wind turbine up, you got 1,000 tons of concrete in the
Yeah,
foundation
in that.
for it.
I've seen those factories.
How much
Yeah.
concrete is getting made? How much carbon's getting produced? You know, you weight out the entire carbon footprint. Again, just calling carbon dioxide the bogeyman, but it's just a metric for everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
But how much is going on in the 1,000 tons of concrete, making the wind turbine wherever it is, shipping it to the site, putting it up, running it for 20 years, say, decommissioning it,
If you're not doing those calculations, of
putting the
process-
blades then into landfills somewhere, what leaches out of them, who knows, then replacing them with another set of wind turbines in 20 years? Is that this?
or 2 or 5 years, depending on the skill of the person who put the thing
Yes,
together.
or if it just chews itself to pieces, catches fire, and then falls over, which we've all seen.
After mowing about 1,000 birds a day.
Yeah, now that's the other one. And I think that, again, no expertise, but it's just the concern that if you take out the apex predators in an ecosystem, which this will do, the buzzards, the vultures, the hawks,
Yeah.
you completely screw the ecosystem. You know, the
The opposite of green.
yes, the Yellowstone experiment. Fascinating. They reintroduced wolves to Yellowstone. What do you get back when you reintroduce wolves? Who knows?
So what?
Beavers.
Beavers.
You
Okay.
get beavers back because the wolves predate the young pronghorn deer that eat all the saplings of the trees by the river. The trees grow back by the river. The beavers fell the trees into the river and make their dams and the ponds. The ponds then make habitats for birds, insects, everything. Run out of fingers.
Yeah.
And this burgeoning habitat explodes back the way it should be. Mother Nature, she knew best. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
Let her get on with it by bringing back the wolves that were all shot.
Hmm.
And you do this at your peril. It's like the shark fin soup, one of those ecologically terrible things.
Yeah.
You need sharks in the ocean. They belong there at the sustaining numbers.
Yeah.
because they keep things in balance.
Well, it's all a big ferment, really, isn't it? You know, if you take out those necessary strains, then the whole thing goes bad.
And then, you know, the rabbit population depends on the foxes depend on enough rabbits, and all these things. Mother Nature, she's been doing this a long time. Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
You know, and we tamper with things at our peril, and you got to look at the balance of these things. Now, I lack expertise at all these things. I'm not the person to say what balance is in anything. I just know that it's a good thing.
Well, usually all the organisms in that system are happy, and it's actually even producing a product or abundance.
This is
You can see that, right?
The you know,
You make your ferment right, you get your alcohol at the end. You don't, you get some mold. You throw it out.
oh, what would you like? Oh,
Start again.
mold, please. I'm really supposed to drink this. Oh yes.
Yeah, so you got to put your wolves back in, and I guess this it's the science, isn't it?
It's always the way of the random thoughts that pop in my head. So apologies for that. But the study and what they did, I would have never guessed that. But I read it and I thought, well, when you explain it, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But we're so busy doing what we do and living our lives that we don't give due consideration to some things that are actually incredibly important. So we've digressed horribly here. I apologize to everyone.
No, those are really,
hopefully Jordan will edit out my sort of wild tangents. I did warn.
No, these are my favorite bits, and comment in the description if you like the wild tangents that are very relevant to what we're talking about.
And again, another one that I should explain. I just have memories just pop up. I have no control over it, but it was when this first test was run. Many years ago, I was near Interlaken in Switzerland, stopped, and meadow of flowers high on the mountains. It's also picture postcard beautiful. And, oh, that's the best air ever, this mountain meadow. And then I saw the results thing, and 20%, and just, this air is cleaner than that mountain meadow all those years ago, and it's got more oxygen in it because of the altitude where it was. This is better air than that Swiss mountain meadow. So,
it's become a saying.
It has become a saying, but that's where it came from. And again, I apologize unreservedly for my random brain, but it was a lovely day and in a lovely place with the best air ever.
Yeah.
And you got this coming out of an exhaust pipe from an engine.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We've locked ourselves in a room with it, and once again, I can verify that it smells like clean air.
Well, again,
you're not smelling anything.
When I watched your videos on that and the thing, but you remember in the States at the Cosmic, we were just in that sort of portico area outside the conference center, away from it raining, but just enclosed on two sides. And when we ran the test generator that was unmodified, it was straight out of the box from Lowe's Hardware, and the oil and petrol went in front of anybody. It's never been run.
Yeah. You smell it instantly.
And it stank. And you can smell the sulfur in it and all the nasties. Your nose doesn't lie. It stinks. It's harmful. Your throat's burning. Get some reading and shut the damn thing off because it stinks.
Yeah.
And that was opens the air on sort of 2.5 sides.
Yeah.
It stank.
Many people were there. Many people could clearly identify. And of course, there's things like carbon monoxide that you can't identify with the nose. But, this is a pretty extreme statement, but I locked myself in a room with it and I didn't die. My grandfather killed himself by gassing himself in a car. Yeah. And I know it doesn't take long, and so that's the statement I'm making. Very willing to put myself very quick in a room, but it works.
You have the monitor for monoxide in there.
Yeah.
So, nobody's being suicidal here and just taking foolhardy risks. But
yeah, I'm saying it with that conviction of that's how confident in this technology I am. A sensitive topic, and I've tested it. I've been in there. I'm not dead, and I trust me. You die.
No,
if you do that.
Nobody's interested in dying here. We're all life affirming sort of people, very much so.
For the record,
yes, in case anybody wants to suggest otherwise. But just that's it. So running it in a closed room and having this as an outcome.
Yeah, you could not do that with a regular engine. It is impossible.
In even remotely restricted access of air, it very quickly becomes so unpleasant
Yeah.
that,
And even up to the point of stalling the engine or making it run
Yeah.
very poorly, there needs to be a required amount of oxygen it's sucking in. You can't just fill up the room with
but it was, I mean, the
gases.
I actually did it on that thermocouple test day, and just right in front of the exhaust blast. And
Yeah.
no, that's fine. No, nothing. And again, the probe's just in there, and you're seeing the results, and yep. No, fine.
Yeah.
That's good. There's nothing nasty coming out of that my nose can detect, and the nose doesn't lie.
No. And there's obviously, yeah, we can smell the hydrocarbons, we can smell the carbon dioxide big time, yeah.
Unmodified ones, it
Stinks, yeah.
terrible.
Makes you gag very, very quickly. I have a weak stomach and I'll gag
I
almost
start
with
burning,
this.
and it's, we all know what stinky pollution smells and feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you spend all day in a city and just that grittiness, and you can taste it, feel it, and it's just everywhere. And how we can help that?
Yeah, well, this is how we can. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share, George, before we tie it up?
Nothing appropriate. Just
Nothing appropriate.
The whole resisting the urge. It's like at Cosmic, when running around and looking like an absolute hobo with no sleep, and Malcolm randomly, without telling us, calling the various people up on stage, and I just sat down in the green room. I'm absolutely shattered. And George Lush, oh no, not me as well.
Could you just get up in front of 500 people, please, George?
And it's thing, and just getting up there, but also just suddenly with a great big ballroom full of people, the attendees, that fighting the urge to do my favorite really bad Elvis impression. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah, I think we've talked about as much about English comedy and today as Thunderstorm generators.
No, don't do it. They won't get the joke. They won't get the joke. They'll just leave it alone. So I just said my piece, but it was God. Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, George.
Always.
Really appreciate the time.
Anytime.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with George Lush of Lush Heat Treatment. I really appreciated him taking the time to catch up with me while he was in Melbourne. These are busy guys, and it speaks to their passion and their commitment for the project, that they're willing to put their names, their businesses, their experience, and their serious conviction behind what Malcolm has begun here with the Thunderstorm generator. Remember, there will be more updates coming later this week and more the week after that, and they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until you're driving around in your Thunderstorm generator car to get to your Thunderstorm generator job, to feed your children with food grown in soil restored by plasmoids, through cities and industrial areas with clear skies, spending your money on something other than scarcity. So you can help us to get this out there on scale. How? Just think of a way and then do it. You don't need to ask for permission. You have my sincere thanks ahead of time. Just spread the word. Let's do it. Until next time, I'm Jordan Collin, a student of Malcolm Bendall, and this is Alchemical Science.